Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out today. My name is Jonathan Starling, and I'd like to say it's with great pleasure that we are assembled here today to launch this petition calling for a referendum on casino gambling in Bermuda. We are a diverse group of people, of concerned Bermudians, prepared to stand up for our democratic rights. As promised, a referendum to decide if casino gambling should be introduced in Bermuda. We stress that this call for a referendum on gambling is not a partisan effort. Those of us involved in this are not involved in political point scoring of taking OBA or PLP positions. We are simply committed to the need to have a referendum to decide the issue of gambling in Bermuda. Nor are we here to represent a position for or against gambling, as our views range from against to indifferent to pro. We are united only in our belief that a referendum on gambling is the most appropriate vehicle for deciding the issue. We believe that this transcends political party loyalties or even support or opposition to gambling itself, and we look forward to your support on this issue. In doing this, we know that both the PLP and the OBA had a consensus during the 2012 election that the issue of gambling should be decided by referendum and not by Parliament. It is our belief that this consensus was correct, that a referendum is the most appropriate vehicle for deciding this issue. On casino gambling, we are focused on casino gambling as we recognize that some forms of gambling already exist and are legal in Bermuda. It is our understanding that the push for gambling today is a push for casino gambling and not gambling per se. As such, we believe it is appropriate to focus attention on the issue of casino gambling in particular. That being said, while we take no position for or against gambling in general, we recognize that a referendum on casino gambling also allows for a wider conversation on gambling in general, and we think that such a wider conversation should be welcomed by all as part of an educational process involving all sectors of society. The purpose of the referendum: it is our collective belief that referendums provide a useful and potentially significant vehicle for increased political participation, helping to strengthen our democracy. Referendums can help create a sense of a more participatory democracy, giving real power and influence to the people on important social and political issues. Referendums help give legitimacy to decisions which may be contentious otherwise, reducing the risk of social conflict over the decision itself. They provide clear, decisive answers to specific issues or questions which may be best settled outside of the parliamentary sphere. Importantly, referendums serve to inform and educate the electorate on specific issues through mobilizing for and against campaigns, as well as educating the electorate about their own power in giving or withholding consent. By offering the opportunity to participate directly in policy making, the public are more likely to participate in political activity as they understand that their participation in the electoral process has real policy implications. In doing this, referendums offer an opportunity for public education and discourse on a contentious issue, ensuring that both the electorate and the politicians focus on an issue in a concentrated way, and to allow us all, as a society, to learn quite deeply about the topic at hand. Quite frankly, the direct democracy of a referendum enhances political knowledge of the issue in question. We believe that voters are perfectly capable of making complex decisions, provided that there is adequate public education on the issue in question. We either agree that the people are capable of such decision making, a cornerstone to our very commitment to the democratic system, or we argue that they are not, and thus enter a slippery slope away from democracy itself. It would be a backward step to take the view that some issues are just too complicated for the electorate to understand. That would be a return to the aristocratic principle of government that we have rightly taken so many steps away from in the last century. Now, on the mechanism of the petition itself, petition sheets will be made available to anyone interested in helping collect signatures, and we will do our best to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to be involved in this petition, and we encourage people to reach out if they wish to assist. In addition to a physical petition, an online petition is online it will be available for those people who, for whatever reason, would prefer to do an online petition than a physical one. For example, overseas students or Bermudians who are overseas at the time being. We have a website, and contact information for us is online there. The website is bermudareferendum.wordpress.com. I repeat, that's bermudareferendum.wordpress.com. And I meant to do this at the beginning, but I just wanted to thank the Bermuda Islands Association of the Deaf for providing a sign language interpreter for all the hearing impaired in the islands so they can also be involved. And I'd like to just pass this over to Stuart Hayward from BEST, who's going to read a statement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. The Bermuda Environmental and Sustainability Task Force, or BEST, wishes to make it clear that while we have expressed our disappointment with the decision to abandon the referendum and with the process leading to that decision, our thrust is for an informed decision, no matter who makes it. Whether the decision is to be made by the electorate via a referendum or via MPs via parliamentary debate, there is as yet unfulfilled need for full information on the pros and cons of gambling, particularly for mature economies such as Bermuda's and for small jurisdictions such as Bermuda is. We see one benefit among others of holding a referendum. In the run-up to the referendum, the government and others will feel obligated to engage in the exercise of educating the public prior to the moment of decision. Thus, there would be the opportunity for the electorate to become reasonably well informed and to make their decision based on multiple sources of information. There is likewise a pitfall, among others, to parliamentary debate and decision. There is every likelihood that the decision in Parliament would be determined not by the power of debate, but by whatever predetermined position is taken by the government with its numerical majority. So, while we support the call for a return to the referendum, we believe that referendum or not, the community should be exposed to the broadest possible range of factual versus emotional or speculative information. We support a referendum because that would seem to be the most fruitful path resulting in a more informed decision. We encourage everyone who cares about Bermuda's future to read reports on casinos and gambling from a variety of sources, to attend lectures and discussions, such as the one at the Lapids Club tonight, and to take part in the decision process by participating in the vote, if there is a referendum, or speaking to their MP. We anticipate the question, why is BEST, an environmental group, in quotes, involving itself in the gambling issue? What most people don't realize is that BEST's mission encompasses the physical, social, and economic environments. While most of our public stances have been those about issues affecting the physical environment, we have a broader mandate. For those interested in our work on social and economic issues, we invite you to visit our website, best.org.bm. There you can find our blueprint for sustainability, as well as our research paper on the pros and cons of gambling. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hayward. I'd now like to introduce Mr. Michael Ashton. He's going to give a few brief comments as well. Mr. Ashton.
Good morning, good evening. It's my pleasure to be here to share some thoughts with you with reference to referendum here on the island. I've been doing some research over the last month or two and looking at material that's been produced. A great deal of it's been produced in Canada, and Toronto in particular is doing a thorough study prior to bringing casino gambling into the city. Research on the financial and social effects of casino gambling demonstrates a very, very mixed result. It is because of this very complicated interplay of issues that we are encouraging the use of a referendum to force this dissemination of facts, both positive and negative, to all Bermudians, so that a more informed decision can be achieved. To date, little objective information has been published, with the exception of the best position paper, leaving most of the discussion on casino gambling to those who hope for either short or long-term gain. As I mentioned earlier, this is not a simple process, and not all casinos and cities in which they exist have enjoyed long-term prosperity. It is therefore essential that an issue as large as this be fully researched and discussed by everyone in our small island community, and not leave it to those few in Parliament who will be pressured by vested interest groups to decide for all Bermudians. So I really encourage you to consider signing this petition so that we can get this extraordinarily significant decision back into the hands of the local population. Once the casino is built, it's there forever. We will not be able to back off it. I understand, just related to this, that the country of Bahamas has just had a referendum. Theirs was on a lottery or no lottery. They voted against the lottery. It was also included information about a decision about whether or not the locals could participate in the current gambling casinos, and they voted against that. This was a surprise to me in some ways, but I think it's significant where a similar island country has voted to abstain, basically, from gambling. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Ashton. I'd also like to introduce Mr. Kim Swan, who will offer some concluding remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. I'm here today to lend my support to this important initiative, Referendum for Bermuda. As a former legislator myself, sitting in the hallowed halls that we stand on the porch of, I think it's important to stand up on behalf of our democracy that we have, that we must preserve. It's so ironic as I stand here, I look up here at the porch and I see some portions of it crumbling away above us in need of some physical repair. But unless we appreciate, respect, and protect that parliamentarians work for the people. A referendum was promised in this country, and a great deal of anticipation went along with it. A bill was tabled in Parliament, and a great deal of anticipation in the lead up to the run-up of that referendum election was anticipated in these islands. The way in which it's been removed has left a lot of people in this country very concerned. And for that fact, felt it necessary to bring forth the opportunity for the people to express how they feel and to give them the opportunity to instruct those elected who work for them how they would like them to move forward on such an important issue. In our democracy, as it is in other jurisdictions, particularly in Britain and other Commonwealth countries, precedent is of the utmost importance. And we cannot allow the precedent of tabling and promising referendums, as many countries operate under referendums in the Commonwealth parliamentary jurisdictions, to be just taken from them. Imagine if countries currently with referendums slated for even this year in 2014, such as Scotland, were to have those removed because the legislature thought that they could best make that decision after promising the people what indeed the people had anticipated. So for that fact and that fact alone, and for the preservation of our democracy, I stand here today to support the referendum. And I encourage all persons in this country to support the ideals and the principles of democracy. It's not about who's for it or against it. It's about the democracy that we enjoy, that we boast about, that we want our grandchildren to enjoy going forward. So for that, I want to thank those who have felt it not robbery to bring it forward today, and I encourage the people of this country to support this referendum for Bermuda on this issue and other issues that this country may have to deal with going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Swan, and again, thank you for coming here today.
Any questions?
Yeah, we're able to take any brief questions if you have any.
Two questions. First of all, the Premier said that he abandoned the referendum because he was concerned that the opposition was going to hijack it in some way. Do you believe that? Do you think that's a legitimate reason?
Does anyone want to take that question in particular? Mr. Swan?
I have a great deal of faith in the wisdom of the people of this country. I've stood for election on 5 different occasions spanning 4 decades, from a young 25-year-old to a not so young 55-year-old. And I think the wisdom of the country needs to be respected. The country was promised a referendum by all parties that ever represented this country in the last 10 years. And I wouldn't consider anything less than the integrity of the people of Bermuda on such an important issue as this and others. I wouldn't take that from them. I don't think there's any political party that could undermine the wisdom of the voter. And that's why it's necessary to put this referendum to the people of this country. We have in this country positions on gambling and other issues, and they should not be what determines what this Parliament does or what goes forward for the people. We have lobby groups, we have interest groups, we have special interest groups. This is about the preservation of democracy, and that's what we're encouraging the Premier to do, is to embrace. We want the government, and we would like the opposition to embrace. We would like their supporters to embrace this referendum. This is about the democracy that gives them the opportunity to govern us and to represent us in Parliament.
But do you believe the Premier when he said we're not going to hold a referendum anymore because we're concerned that it might be hijacked or something like that?
I believe the Premier made a position because obviously there has been some significant lobbying for this. But with our position, we believe that what is necessary is for a referendum to go forward. This country has been put in a position where it is expected, and we cannot just fall prey to political positions. That's why there is a petition going forward at this particular time.
And one final question. Obviously, the government did a U-turn over the clinic in St David's following the petition. Do you think if you get enough signatures, do you think that will be persuasive enough to get government to change its position, backtrack, and actually hold a referendum, or do you think you have that?
I don't want to presuppose or tie one issue with another. The cornerstone of this particular petition is democracy, and certainly us standing here today, representing a very wide cross-section of this community, is a signal in that direction. Not only is government looking, but certainly being a British overseas territory, I'm sure the FCO and Government House are taking mind of this. This is an issue about our democracy, about our Constitution in some regards, and so we will do our due diligence and let those in decision-making be governed accordingly. But we're not in a position to presuppose anybody else's feelings.
Any additional questions on any topics?
Do you consider political apathy to be your main enemy here? How confident are you that you can get 4,000 signatures, are there 4,000 people on the island who care enough about this issue to sign?
Find out.
We'll find out. As a political apathy is a concern, but we believe that initiatives like this, the petitions, referendums, these are all parts of a healthy democracy, and we'll find out. We don't really have any. I don't think it's fair to say we have a target for signatures. We want as many signatures as we can. We believe this is important for our democracy. Anyone want to speak on that as well?
I'd just like to respond to one of the earlier questions. I don't think it makes any difference as to. I believe the Premier made a decision in the best interest, to his best of his ability. I think that to back off from the referendum was perhaps a mistake, which is why we're here. In terms of the apathy, I don't believe that Bermudians are in fact apathetic. I believe that we need to get the information out to them. And as they then understand the extended consequences of something of this importance, I believe that local Bermudians will rise to the occasion and step forward. It doesn't take an enormous commitment to put your signature on a petition. And I believe that we're looking at 4,000. I anticipate many more than that. We really need to get out and stand our ground on this, because if we don't, the issue is so large and so the potential of expansion is just something that we really do need to stand up for ourselves and express our opinion. Hence the referendum.
You mentioned this is non-partisan and apolitical, but do you have any plans to tap into existing networks on the island to get these signatures, whether it be church groups or whatever?
I think we'll just do the best we can with your assistance to disseminate our position, to educate the population, and we'll have anyone and everyone stand forth independently as Bermudians. I don't think we need to lobby any particular group, and I know already that we have individuals participating from a wide range already. So I think that we'll be just fine without having to conjure up or oppose any current positions.
So there's no plan to tap into existing political networks, the opposition? I mean, are you going to look to the opposition to get these?
I don't think it's a question of tapping in. I think what we're offering is an opportunity to sign a petition, and anyone, anywhere, can come forth and do that. And we'll do our best to get this petition out in front of as many people as we can. Thank you.
Any additional questions? No? Well, again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. I'd like to thank my fellow colleagues here. We'd like to echo once more, this is a non-partisan issue. This is just pro-democracy and pro-education on the issue of casino gambling. And I would again like to thank the Bermuda Islands Association for the Deaf for providing a sign interpreter for us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
Have a
very
good
much.
day.
Good.